So obviously the debate over RFK's vaccine record is what has dominated the indie media space these last couple of days. But as an outlet who has sort of refused to endorse either Marianne Williamson or RFK Jr. Under the premise that anyone running in the Democratic Party is wasting not only their time, but more importantly, the time and resources of their supporters, we have been hesitant to embrace either of these two candidates. And so here is Krystal Ball asking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. If he plans to fall in line and endorse Joe Biden should he be unsuccessful in his primary challenge. Let's have a listen.
For you is, do you plan to support whoever the Democratic nominee is? And do you have any intention of running third party if you're running the Democratic primary?
I plan on winning the Democratic primaries.
Okay, but
Democratic nomination.
They're rigging things. They're not going to allow debates. It's going to make it very difficult for you. So if something happens and you don't succeed, what then?
I do not have a plan B.
No plan B?
No plan B.
And do you plan to endorse if Joe Biden is the nominee or Marianne Williamson? Do you plan?
Okay, so no plan B means no dirty break. That's what that means.
I got to ask.
I win the nomination or I go home.
I haven't watched all of the interviews with. Did she ask Marianne Williamson this?
I'm not sure. I believe they did ask her that, and Marianne gave a wishy-washy response to something to the effect of, well, I'm running because I'm the best person to beat the GOP ticket, and, I plan to win. Yeah, indeed. I believe they did ask her.
Oh, yeah. They're going to love you out in the Rust Belt.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're going to eat you up with a spoon.
Nothing says Western PA like Marianne Williamson. But but here he is. So he just said no plan B. So no plan B means no plans beyond the Democratic primary, win or lose. Right there, that means no dirty break. That is what that means, right? I don't want to hear the cope from you guys telling me that's something different. That's exactly what that means. Now, she does go on to ask him whether he will endorse the Democratic nominee. And to his credit, he gives a different answer than Bernie gave in both of his runs. So let's hear this.
To endorse the eventual Democratic.
Sorry, let me just back this up a second.
Joe Biden is the nominee.
Plan B.
No plan B?
No plan B.
And do you plan to endorse, if Joe Biden is the nominee or Marianne Williamson, do you plan to endorse the eventual Democratic
I doubt
nominee?
if I would endorse anybody who's supporting the war. I think that's what my,
So you could endorse Trump then?
I don't see that happening.
You would never endorse President Trump.
I don't. I think we have so many differences in style and approach that I probably would never end up there.
All right. So that's his answer. Obviously, when he said, I'm not going to endorse someone who supports the war, Krystal went on to say, well, might you endorse Trump if he's vowing to end the war? He says, no, I can't go there either. So basically, he's saying there, assuming Joe Biden is supportive of continuous funding for the Ukraine war.
Which he certainly will be.
Which he certainly will be if the war has not already gone nuclear by then and we're not all, scouring, the remains of the, ShopRites for canned beans by then. Who the hell knows? But if
how do you find your polling station under those circumstances?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. If there's a war to fund, he will certainly be in favor of funding it. And so a little bit of credit to RFK there for saying he won't endorse Biden. However, and this is a point that I've meant to make in previous broadcasts, and I don't think I've ever made it, except maybe when somebody gave us a super chat last week. To me, the bar for whether I could support anyone in a Democratic primary, the bar is not, do you endorse the nominee after you lose or do you go home? In other words, just saying, well, I'm not the nominee, so I'm going to stay out of it, that is not to my satisfaction because that does not solve the problem of what becomes of the movement you build behind your campaign. Right? You need an answer for that. And the only answer that would satisfy me, and I will admit to being a ballbuster about this, I think after 7 fucking years of banging my head against the wall inside this goddamn Democratic Party, I have a right to be a little bit of a ballbuster about this. But the only thing that would satisfy me is promising not simply to abstain from the general and say I'm not going to endorse Joe Biden. The only thing that would satisfy me, the only way I would ever consider backing a Democratic candidate is if they promised to weaponize their movement against the Democratic Party after they lose. In other words, you run under their ticket to get some name recognition, to get some press. Okay, fine. But you say, if I lose, not only will I not endorse the Democratic nominee, I will mobilize whatever movement I generate through my campaign in an effort to destroy, not reform, not remind of its roots, destroy the Democratic Party. That is the goal. The goal is to destroy the Democratic Party. Anything short of that is not worth our time. Okay, simply saying, well, we're going to sit it out. No, sitting it out's not good enough, because then what did people get involved in? What did people get invested in, right? I fell for this last time. Bernie Sanders' campaign, when I phone banked for Bernie in 2020, I didn't phone bank through his campaign. I phone banked through the Sunrise Movement, because the Sunrise Movement was this great group of these young kids who wanted a livable planet, and they endorsed Sanders, and so they did phone banking for Sanders. So I did it through them. I figure this way, even if Bernie loses, at least I'm helping building a movement that can survive his loss, so that the movement will outlive the campaign, even if the Democrats fuck him over, which I suspected they were going to, right? How did that work out? As soon as Biden became the nominee, the leadership of the Sunrise Movement started jockeying for position inside the sort of DNC circles, right? They started closing up to Joe Biden. So we've seen this movie too many times. You have to promise at the outset that you will weaponize your movement against the Democrats if and when you lose the primary. Anything short of that, I'm sorry, is not good enough. We've been there too many times before.
Full wrath of Khan.
Exactly.
From the heart of hell, I stab at thee.
Exactly. Right.
You got to fly the ship right into the Democratic Party.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm sorry. Like, that answer, I mean, I know a lot of people thought that perhaps I'd be more won over than I am, but no, it's not good enough, because you're still not answering the question, what was it for? What was your campaign for? Is it better that you sit out the general than that you endorse Biden? I guess that's better in the sense that you're not sheep herding people into the Biden camp, but it's only nominally better because you're not doing anything else with it anyway. It's still not a worthwhile investment of time if it doesn't go anywhere past the primary.
Please clap.